God's really stressed in my life personally for us to realize that He's always at work. That's John 5 right there. God is always working. He's always, regardless what the situation looks like, his hands are always moving, let's say.
Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire.
Oh, you're trying to bring me down and run me out of town. You're taking what you want, but you can't take my rhythm now. I'm walking to my own beat, just gonna be me. I'm not replicating nobody.
Hey, Youth Worker on Fire. I'm here with Jimmy Rivera with Mission Discovery, who is the executive in charge of these guys now. They're back in the saddle again. Jimmy, you're on the road right now. Tell me where you are and what's happening.
Yeah, good morning, Doug. Hey, listen, I am on my way to a place called Mayfield, Kentucky. Many of you may have remembered it was in the news probably for about 3 minutes one day. But this town got hit with a F5 tornado on December 23rd, I believe it was, of 2021. And they had serious loss of life. Many of you remember the incident with the candle factory. I don't want to go into the details about that. But this tornado was on the ground for 150 miles, so it has left a swatch of devastation. And we've got a team coming up next week that wants to come bring some help and some relief. So I am getting ready to go up there and scout out a trip to see what we can be doing, where we can be serving.
Okay, and that's one of many things that you're doing right now. What age group is working on this project?
Well, the funny thing is we have everything from like freshmen, sophomores in high schools to adults coming in. It's a very mixed group as far as adults and students, but that's kind of what we do. We bring them all and we kind of set the stage for them to be able to use their gifts. And for sometimes the youth have to learn a new skill, and many of the adults we bring are eager to teach those skills.
Jimmy, listen, how long ago did you join Mission Discovery?
Oh, my. Well, I went on my first mission trip in 1990. And then Mission Discovery wasn't started yet, but Mission Discovery was started in 1991 by my friend Maury Buchanan. I was on the trips that very first year, 1991. It just came to my thought the other day. I've done a mission trip every year since 1990. And since 1991, I've done a mission trip every summer with Mission Discovery.
Before the pandemic hit, how many mission trips would you guys do? Well, you do them all year long, but for the summer,
right,
that's your main time with students, middle school, high school, college and career. Sometimes to be mixed in there as staffers and things and contractors. But how many would y'all do a summer?
In the summer, we're doing between 18 and 20 weeks, or even a little bit more, because during the course of the year, we would do about 35 weeks of projects prior to the COVID years.
Right, and some of those would overlap. You'd have 2 or 3 projects going on at a time, two or three leaders.
Exactly.
And right now you're telling me that Maury is in Bulimbu, or he's getting ready to go there. Is that right?
He's getting ready to go to Bulimbu, which is in a country called Eswatini, which is actually inside of South Africa. So yes, that would be starting next week.
And Swaziland, was that part of Eswatini?
It used to be called Swaziland. Several years ago, the king decided to change the name, that it was more appropriate for his culture to be called Eswatini.
Well, see, now I've got a geographic and a history lesson there, because I had no idea that it changed.
There you go, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy, tell me some of the effects. Tell me one of the worst Mission Discovery trips that you personally ran, something that really happened. People relate more with our fails than they do our wins. So give me your worst trip ever, the one that you can actually stand to tell. Because I know we all have some of those. You go, I just can't talk about that.
I would say 98% of our trips have a very positive experience. There's going to always be something that either due to the leader who's leading the project, or the composition of the group, or the ministry partner we work with, it just doesn't flow well. Let me put it that way.
Well, and let me say this before, and I've said this several times about Mission Discovery. One of the safest groups in the world. There's no such thing as completely safe. In fact, you guys taught us that never tell a parent that your kids are going to be completely safe.
That's right.
There's no such thing. Right. But if anybody's going to keep us safe, it was Mission Discovery. That's why I love to go with you guys the most. So go ahead from there. So we're telling a fail here. I'm not telling you it's not because they didn't prepare. Some things are going to happen anyway.
Right. Well, things happen, and some of them are out of our control. I remember, many years ago, we had a child. This is very extreme. He was hit by a train.
Oh, my.
But that's because he was trying to put nails on the railroad track so that the train would flatten it. It just so happened, and I'm putting up air quotes, that week we had a pediatric trauma doctor on the project who was doing a clinic for us.
Wow.
So he did an initial assessment, and we got that child back over into McAllen, Texas within about an hour of the incident happening. People might think that long, but you got to remember, we had to cross an international border to make that happen.
Yes.
The parents came down later that evening, flew down, and were just extremely appreciative of all the steps Mission Discovery had taken. That's an extreme case. Thank God that's only happened once. But, I firmly believe that God puts the right people in the right place at the right time. And that doctor was there for that reason.
Absolutely. And now tell me one of your favorite trips, one of the things that just warms your heart every time you think of it for you personally.
Well, there's been so many of them. Our huge project down on the Tex-Mex border in McAllen, Reynosa area was one of those that just, it had some strong heartstring attachments to us. That came to an end in about 2009, 2010. Guatemala is another one of those. We work in Antigua, Guatemala, and that's another one where there's just a heart connection. But most recently, last week, as a matter of fact, I was in Waverly, Tennessee. And for those of you that don't remember, I think they made the national news for about 45 seconds one day when they had massive biblical proportions flooding run through their town. And there was a loss of life of 20 people, but the town was decimated. I was just there for the last 2 weeks with some other teams. And Doug, in all my years, I have never seen a town come together like this.
Oh, wow.
So let me just quickly tell you, the ladies were staying at the Methodist Church. The men were staying at the Baptist Church. We're eating our meals with the Church of Christ. We're getting our projects from something called Inspiritist Ministries, which is a Lutheran-based services. We worked with Appalachian Service Project. And the Church of Christ was also providing us with work sites. I've never experienced this type of community environment in all my 31 years of doing mission trips. It was truly mind-boggling and extremely encouraging on the spiritual level.
It sounds like the church, the real church,
like
the Jesus church came together.
To be doing.
Exactly.
It sounds like the church is supposed to be doing that.
That's the thing that we struggle with. Crisis seems to bring out the Jesus part of the church.
This is exactly what happened there. Once the big national agencies moved out and it was just left to the locals, they realized we've got to get together on this or nobody's going to move ahead.
That's very encouraging. Well, tell me this. How can people get in touch to make sure that next year on the projects they can take their students with Mission Discovery?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. You can visit our website, missiondiscovery.org. There's contact information there. It'll tell you what projects we have upcoming, the dates we're going to be there. And if you have a group large enough, 20 or 25, we can just make a custom trip for you. But also, if you want to reach out to me directly, my email is jimmy@missiondiscovery.org. And Jimmy is spelt with an I, with a Y, not the I-E. Jimmy at Mission Discovery. I'd love to hear from you and see how we can help you serve God by enlarging his kingdom, by helping the folks in need.
That's just, that's amazing, Jimmy. And tell me what you think people ought to know if they want to go with they've never been on a student mission trip before. They don't see the value in doing that because, as a youth worker, youth pastor, or even a public school teacher that wants to take some trip like that with a group of students, and they have done that in the past. but it just seems like it's just overwhelming. It's just not, I don't know, they feel like maybe it's not worth it because we do so much anyway. Why mission discovery? Why student missions for them?
That's a good question. We tried to make it as easy as possible for the group leaders. So what we do is we work with a contact person, a group leader, a youth pastor, church staff. We give them access. All of our information is online, but not only that, our sign-up process is online. So you're not having to gather everybody together to pass out papers. Each person has their own link to fill out their applications. So we feel that that's a plus to just make it easier. We ask that if the group leader will do this front-end work, by the time they get to the project, 98% of their work is done because we take over from there. We work on going with mission discovery. You get your lodging taken care of. You get your meals taken care of. You get your service project taken care of, your outreach, your ministry outreach, whether it's Bible school or prayer through the neighborhood. It could be a variety of different things, just depending where you go. We are there to make it easier for the group leader. But the main thing I would say is once people get on a trip, you need to be flexible. Lay your preconceived ideas at the entry door and realize, God's always at work. And it doesn't always look like what we expect or what we think it should be.
I can attest to that. Absolutely. I've been with Jimmy in Tecate. I've been multiple trips in McAllen, Texas, going across the Mexico border there, Rio Grande, to get across to Reynosa, Rio Bravo. Jimmy, I tell you what, and Guatemala with one of your other workers, been there. But 3 times. The first time I attempted to go to Kenya with you, things didn't work out. The whole trip was canceled. Crazy stuff.
Right.
Never happened. And then Swaziland, which is now, what's it called again?
Eswatini.
Eswatini opened up. And that fell through because I had a medical thing that came out, and we were all set for that trip. 3 times I've missed Africa. I don't know if I'm ever going to make it. I don't know if my daughter's ever going to forgive me for that. But anyway, because she was supposed to have gone.
Okay.
But anyway, I just want people to know that there's no group in the world that I would rather go with than you guys, and I hope that they will make those things happen, whether it's in the United States or, in fact, I was on one of the Appalachian projects with you guys because that was the year, and it was 2010, that we shut down the borders because of the cartel in Mexico.
That's right.
And the same summer that I went to Guatemala. Just crazy stuff. Anything you want to tell people in closing, anything you want to say to encourage full-time youth workers or volunteers, anything like that?
Always want to give an encouraging word. God's really stressed in my life personally for us to realize that 2 things. He's always at work. That's John 5 right there. God is always working. He's always, regardless what the situation looks like, his hands are always moving, let's say. And the other thing that's kind of been brought to my attention and a slam dunk in my head is that in Mark 4, there's a story about the storm, and it talks about Jesus had a hard day working. The disciples, he said, let's go across the lake. The disciples take him across the lake, and the big storm comes up. And what does Jesus do in the middle of the storm? He's sleeping. He's sleeping in the storm. And his disciples run over and shake him and say, don't you care that we're going to die? But I just find it amazing that in the middle of what we consider a storm or life or death situation, Jesus is fast asleep and totally at peace. And take courage in that. That's been my new phrase. When anything comes that ruffles my feathers, I just think in my head, Jesus slept through the storm.
Jesus slept through the storm. That is a big encouragement to all of us because we all have storms.
He's got this. He's got it. And it's real hard. And actually, if I have another 30 seconds,
you do.
He equates, he says, why are you so afraid? Don't you have faith? Something along those lines. I don't have the exact, but he basically says, why are you fearful? Don't you have faith? So he's basically throwing down the challenge that you're either going to have faith or you're going to have fear. And apparently the disciples that day chose fear.
Yeah, we all choose fear, I believe, somewhere along the way because we're human. I keep telling God,
That's right.
God, I am human.
That's right.
Right. I know I've got the spirit, but I am human. Help me here.
Many of my prayers have been, Lord, My shoulders must look awfully big from up there, but down here, they're not that big.
That's right. And Jimmy, let me tell you what, you have a mammoth amount of weight on your shoulders that God obviously has done. You're one of the Calebs and Joshuas of our generation. You're doing what nobody else or very few other people want to do in the world. And you are taking on students to missions, which I believe is the number one priority in this world. Everybody else is trying to steal away that generation, that next generation. And what Jimmy Rivera and Mission Discovery do is you encourage them that they got this, that God is bigger than all the problems. God is bigger than all the poverty. And if they will just step forward and put the one foot out, that God will run the rest of the way to them and pull them along and take them where they need to go to change this world.
That's right. Thank you so much, Doug. It's been a pleasure catching up with you for the last couple of minutes.
Absolutely, man. I wish it could be longer. It will be longer another time, but I want to grab you because I know how busy you are, and you have made my day.
Thank you so much, my friend. God bless you, man. Keep up the great work.
All right, Jimmy. Love you, buddy. See ya.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.